Imagine a cold, rainy Thanksgiving Eve. A man, nondescript in every way, boards a plane. He's just another passenger, blending into the crowd. But by the end of the night, he will have pulled off one of the most audacious crimes in American history, vanishing into thin air, leaving behind a legend that has captivated generations. This isn't a Hollywood thriller. This is the true story of D.B. Cooper, the skyjacker who disappeared without a trace. For over 5 decades, the name D.B. Cooper has echoed through the annals of unsolved mysteries. He is the Phantom of the Skies, the only person to successfully hijack a commercial airliner for ransom and seemingly get away with it. His story is a tantalizing blend of daring, mystery, and an almost mythical escape. Today, we're going to unravel the entire history of D.B. Cooper. From the moment he stepped onto that plane, to the endless theories surrounding his fate, we'll delve into the meticulous investigation, the tantalizing clues, and the parade of suspects, all in an attempt to answer the question that has haunted the FBI and amateur sleuths alike. Who was D.B. Cooper, and what truly happened to him? Get ready, because this is a journey into the heart of an enigma. Our story begins on November 24, 1971, Thanksgiving Eve. At Portland International Airport, a man identifying himself as Don Cooper purchased a one-way ticket on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, bound for Seattle. He was described as a quiet, unassuming man in his dressed in a dark suit, white shirt, and a black tie. He carried a briefcase and a brown paper bag. He settled into seat 180 in the very last row of the Boeing 727 and ordered a bourbon and 7-Up from the flight attendant. Shortly after takeoff, as the plane ascended into the gray Pacific Northwest sky, Cooper made his move. He handed a note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner, who was sitting in the jump seat directly behind him. Schaffner, assuming it was a lonely businessman's phone number, casually tucked it into her purse. But Cooper leaned in, his voice calm but firm, and whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The words on the note were chilling. "Miss, I have a bomb in my briefcase and want you to sit by me." Schaffner, stunned, did as she was told. Cooper opened his briefcase just enough for her to see what appeared to be sticks of dynamite wired to a large battery. The reality of the situation dawned on her. This was no ordinary passenger. This was a hijacking. Schaffner relayed Cooper's demands to the cockpit crew. He wanted $200,000 in $20 bills, delivered in a knapsack, and 4 parachutes. 2 main and 2 reserve. The specificity of the parachutes was a clever move. It implied he might take a hostage, discouraging authorities from supplying faulty equipment. The captain, William Scott, immediately contacted air traffic control, who in turn alerted the FBI. The passengers, oblivious to the unfolding drama, were told their arrival in Seattle would be delayed due to a minor mechanical difficulty. Upon landing at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, Cooper's demands were met. The $200,000 and 4 parachutes were delivered to the plane. In a tense exchange, Cooper released the 36 passengers and 2 He kept Captain Scott, First Officer Radachak, Flight Engineer Anderson, and Flight Attendant Tina with the ransom secured and the remaining crew as his unwilling companions. Cooper ordered the plane to be refueled and to take off again, setting a course for Mexico City with a planned refueling stop in Reno, Nevada. The stage was set for the most audacious part of his plan. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, flying at a low altitude of 10,000 feet and a speed of about 190 knots, Cooper made his final, incredible move. Around 8:13 p.m., in the midst of a raging thunderstorm and pitch-black night, he lowered the aft staircase of the Boeing 727. With the $200,000 strapped to his body and a parachute on his back, D.B. Cooper jumped into the unknown. The pilots, unaware of his exact actions, landed safely in Reno. But Cooper had vanished. He had literally disappeared into the night, leaving behind an empty plane, a bewildered crew, and a mystery that would baffle investigators for decades to come. The skyjacker had become a ghost. The moment the FBI was alerted to the hijacking, a massive investigation, codenamed an ORJIK, for Northwest Hijacking was launched. This was unprecedented. Never before had a hijacker successfully escaped a plane mid-flight with ransom money. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. Law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, local police, and military personnel, swarmed a potential drop zone, a vast, rugged, and heavily forested area in southwestern Washington. The search was relentless, spanning thousands of square miles, but the terrain was unforgiving, and the weather that night had been brutal. Despite the extensive search, D.B. Cooper was nowhere to be found. However, the plane itself yielded crucial evidence. On board, investigators found Cooper's black J.C. Penney tie, which he had removed before his jump. This tie would later provide a DNA sample, though it has yet to yield a match. Perhaps the most significant piece of physical evidence emerged 9 years later. In 1980, when an 8-year-old boy, Brian Ingram, found a rotting package containing $5,800 in $20 bills. buried on a sandbar along the Columbia River. The serial numbers on these bills matched those of the ransom money given to Cooper. This discovery confirmed that at least some of the money had indeed been in the possession of the hijacker, and it reignited public interest in the case. Over the decades, the FBI investigated more than 1,000 suspects. Each lead, no matter how small, was pursued. One of the most prominent early suspects was Richard Floyd McCoy Jr., a former paratrooper who, just 5 months after the Cooper hijacking, executed a similar skyjacking, demanding ransom and parachuting from a plane. While McCoy fit some of the physical descriptions and had the necessary skills, he was eventually ruled out by the FBI due to discrepancies in his appearance and other factors. Other notable suspects included Kenneth Christensen, a former Northwest Orient Airlines employee with a military background, and Robert Rackstraw, a former military pilot with a checkered past. Each suspect brought their own compelling, yet ultimately inconclusive, evidence to the table. The FBI officially suspended its active investigation in 2016, citing the redirection of resources to other priorities. But the case remains open, and tips continue to pour in from amateur sleuths and professional investigators alike. The question of Cooper's identity and his fate continues to be one of America's most enduring mysteries. With no definitive answers, the D.B. Cooper case has become fertile ground for countless theories, each attempting to explain the inexplicable. The central question, of course, is, did he survive the jump? The FBI's official stance leans towards his demise. He jumped into a violent thunderstorm, at night, into a heavily wooded, mountainous region, with an unsteerable parachute and inadequate clothing for survival. It's a recipe for disaster, even for a seasoned professional. The discovery of the ransom money in 1980, found in a state of decay, further supports the idea that Cooper didn't live to spend his ill-gotten gains. If he had survived, why would he abandon a significant portion of the money? However, the counter-arguments for his survival are equally compelling. Cooper displayed remarkable composure and intelligence throughout the hijacking. His specific demands for parachutes, including reserves, suggest a knowledge of skydiving. Some argue that his choice of a Boeing 700 with its AFD staircase was deliberate, indicating a pre-planned escape route. Could he have been an experienced paratrooper, perhaps a former military operative, whose training allowed him to defy the odds? The very fact that no body, no more money, and no further definitive trace of him has ever been found fuels the survival theorist. Perhaps he landed, buried the money, and simply walked away, disappearing into a new life. This leads us to another popular theory. The accomplice. Could Cooper have had help on the ground? Someone waiting for him in the treacherous wilderness, ready to whisk him away to safety? The sheer difficulty of navigating that terrain at night, let alone with a parachute and a bag of cash, makes the idea of a solo escape seem almost impossible to some. An accomplice could explain the lack of a body, the disappearance of the remaining money, and how Cooper managed to evade the immediate, massive manhunt. It adds another layer of intrigue to an already complex puzzle. And then there's the enduring question of identity. Was he Ted Braden, the former Green Beret with extensive skydiving experience, or Kenneth Christensen, the former Northwest Orient flight attendant, who bore a striking resemblance to the composite sketch? What about Richard McCoy, the copycat hijacker, or Robert Rackstraw, the ex-military pilot who seemed to revel in the attention? Each suspect has their proponents and their detractors, their compelling coincidences and their undeniable alibis. The truth is, without a confession or irrefutable evidence, D.B. Cooper remains a blank canvas onto which we project our own theories and desires for closure. The money found in 1980, while confirming the hijacking, only deepened the mystery of his fate. It was a tantalizing breadcrumb, but one that led to no further answers. Was it dropped during the jump, buried for later retrieval? Or was it a deliberate plant, a final taunt from a man who had outsmarted them all? D.B. Cooper may have vanished, but his legend has only grown. He has permeated popular culture, appearing in countless books, films, and television shows, a testament to the enduring fascination with his audacious crime. He became an anti-hero to some, a symbol of rebellion against the system, and a master of escape. But beyond the folklore, Cooper's actions had a profound and lasting impact on the world. His hijacking forever changed air travel. Before Cooper, airport security was minimal. After his daring escape, metal detectors became standard, baggage screening was implemented, and the very design of aircraft, specifically the Boeing 727, was modified with Cooper veins. To prevent the aft staircase from being lowered in flight, he inadvertently ushered in an era of heightened security, making air travel safer for millions. The D.B. Cooper case remains the only unsolved skyjacking in American history. The FBI's active investigation may be closed, but the questions persist. Who was this enigmatic man? Did he survive his perilous jump? Or did the unforgiving wilderness claim him? Was he a brilliant criminal mastermind? Or a desperate man who got incredibly lucky? Perhaps the allure of D.B. Cooper lies precisely in his anonymity, in the fact that he remains a ghost, a cipher, a blank slate onto which we can project our own theories and desires for a thrilling conclusion. His story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most captivating tales are those that remain unfinished, leaving us to ponder the possibilities, forever searching for the skyjacker who vanished without a trace.